Hello and welcome once again to Mind Mastery Accelerator. I am your host, attorney Sean Arnold, and I am here with your other host, Mr. Vernon Webb, executive performance coach. How are you today, Vernon?
Doing very well, Sean. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Now, Vernon, when we last talked to folks, we asked them a very profound question, and that is very simply, what is holding you back? And so I want you to think back over the last couple of times that we've spoken, and we showed you the wheel of life. And there are different areas of the wheel of life that some of your areas, here it is right here. Some of these areas of your wheel of life, you're going gangbusters. You're doing really, really well. For example, in your career, or maybe you feel very, very close to your God and you feel that your spirituality is really on point. But there are other areas of this wheel of life that might not be on point. For example, if it was in your career where you need that support, something is holding you back. You may, for example, have some kind of idea that I could never ask for a raise. I could never ask for a promotion because they've got budgetary problems and they've got, bigotry problems and they've got all kinds of problems. All of these problems are problems that you've actually built up in your head because as you look around you, there are people in your office that are getting those raises, that are getting those promotions. So, is that belief actually true, or is it just true for you? What about in your area of relationships, like romance, for example? Do you have the limiting beliefs that all men are dogs, all women are gold diggers, or no one will ever love me, or something along the lines of every man that I've ever been with, every woman I've ever been with has cheated on me and lied to me. They can't be trusted. If this is the kind of thought that is repeating itself in your mind again and again and creating a belief system for you, I can almost guarantee you that you're going to manifest that in your life. What about in the area of health and fitness? Are you, for example, a menopausal woman who says to herself, I can't lose the weight? It's hormonal. And yet, if you look around you, there are menopausal women who are losing weight. They are getting that last 15 and 20 pounds off. So, once again, is that true? Or is it just true for you? Vernon, do you believe that maybe this all comes down to what we think, feel, and believe?
Well, I have to tell you, Sean, as I was listening to you, there were some things that really kind of caught me because I know that we all have areas in which we feel trapped, that we can't make any motion. And people will come and say, you know what? Don't even try. Don't even think about trying to get a promotion. Don't even think about trying to make more money in your company because what they're going to do is they're going to talk you out of it. In essence, what they do is they plant seeds of doubt. Note that. And you accept it as being true. And so you say over and over, I can't do it. It'll never happen for me. And pretty soon, that is exactly what is going to be your reality. The subconscious mind focuses on what you feed it ongoing. Spaced, you can write this down, spaced repetition. That's how we learn. And thinking is a habit. When you've decided that no one is going to love you, or you should not even think about trying to ask for a promotion, and you say it over and over and over, you don't even have to say it. Think it. and believe it. That's all you need to do. And that is exactly what you're going to produce in your life. So, yes, it's a task. And let me share this with you. It's simple to change. It's just not easy. And I found that what I needed was somebody to help me, somebody to be there for me and to hold me accountable.
So, can we take a step back and start from for people who are realizing that they're getting in their own way. They are realizing that they have limiting beliefs. Vernon, where do these limiting beliefs come from?
In your first 7 years on this planet, as a child, you're in complete download mode. That means they could tell you anything as a child and you'd believe it. Let me give you an example. At some point in time, they told you that a big fat man in a red suit is going to bring you toys. Nobody could tell you different. So you cleaned up your act around about the first part of December and waiting to see what you were going to receive. That was a belief that you held close to you, but it wasn't
Until
true.
you didn't.
It wasn't true.
Until you didn't. So, what about when we are older than seven? When we get to that point in our life where we have the critical thinking capacity and we see things over and over again, there's a pattern that develops, and that pattern becomes threatening to us. For example, raising your hand in class. You raised your hand in class, you gave the wrong answer, and everybody laughed at you. You did it again, and everybody laughed at you. And so your brain then said, raising your hand equals danger. Do not raise your hand in class. So you have this belief
Mentally, that's what's
that you
happening.
can't participate in class, that you will always be made a fool of. So how do beliefs then operate in our lives? I understand that the beliefs come from our schools, from the media, social media, news, church, our parents, our teachers.
Mhm.
Our beliefs come in through our peers and through music and just everywhere where we're getting input, we are forming beliefs. So, how does that operate in our lives, Vernon?
Well, in this day and age, we have people that we can look at, and if we aren't looking like them, if we are not where they are, then we're lacking. It's as simple as that. And we have formed the foundation of our beliefs in the first 7 years, as I was saying. That's the foundation. From there, you have begun to formulate beliefs, and your mind will only allow you to see the things that reinforce your existing belief system.
Oh, that's very important. So, as we look around in the world, we are actually looking to validate what we already believe. That
Correct.
keeps us from going crazy.
Yes,
Yes?
that is
I mean, there's a
correct.
very good reason for that. But if our belief is we can't get a break, then we're looking around the world and we're validating that over and
That's
over
correct.
again by sabotaging ourselves, by making the wrong choice, by getting involved with people that we know are going to disappoint us.
What we believe as we go forward, it doesn't matter what people tell you, it's what you actually believe. I don't have a lot of fun doing what I'm doing right now, being in front of a camera and recording. I'm thinking, would I want to look at me? Not especially, but I've got friends and I've got people who believe in me and they said, don't be concerned about what you look like. People want to hear what's going on inside your head. That's all I got. I got that. Then that's what it comes down to.
So you're saying you're struggling with a limiting belief
And I
about
have, and
camera work?
and on top of that, I planted seeds of doubt.
Mm.
But and I am telling you now, working on it. I will get
So,
better and better.
uh-huh. Excellent. So, how then do we change limiting beliefs?
Hmm.
Talk to me from a Silva perspective. How would Silva work with someone to change a limiting belief that is holding them back?
Actually, Sean, I'm really glad that you asked me that question from a Silva perspective because I want to remind those people who are listening to us that what we have done is that we have skillfully integrated two of the most powerful change transformational processes known to man, neurolinguistic programming and the Silva method of dynamic meditation. And that is what allows us to share with you how you can change and to let you know that these are the things that we are using because we want to change. So
Right.
grow with us. From the
Excellent.
Silva perspective, you're a product of your belief system. That's the thinking. You are a product of your belief system. Whatever it is that you believe to be true is because you believe it. It doesn't mean that it is true, but it does mean that you believe it to be true. And that's all it takes. Because once it becomes a part of your belief system, you will think and act that way. And yet, you'll use that same belief system that's holding you back now. Once upon a time, it may have served you, and that's all well, fine, and good. But now you're not 7 years old. You're, but your subconscious mind doesn't know that.
Ah.
Uh, Your subconscious mind says you're 7 years old. If you try and change, you're gonna get it. You remember the last time you put your hand up in class and they laughed at you? How'd that go for you? Right. So hold yourself back. You don't have to be successful. Just kind of go with the flow. We're hardwired not to change. That's the challenge here. We
Mhm.
are hardwired, which is fine because it keeps us safe.
Mhm.
But now we're holding on to stuff that's holding us back.
From an NLP perspective, we have conversations with ourselves. Once we recognize that we've got that limiting belief, for
Mhm.
example, I can't go and ask for that raise, or I can never get that promotion that I'm
Mhm.
after. The very first step is to recognize that you do have that limiting belief and that it is holding you back. And so there are certain conversations that you can have with yourself to sort of suss out what that's all about. So, for example, when you hear that limiting belief, stop, stand up, and say, well, who said that? Who said that's the truth? I need to see some proof. Who was the person that said that was true? I need their credentials.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's kind of a pattern interrupt.
Ah,
When you've got that limiting belief and it's just a
okay,
pattern that runs in your
okay.
mind, you can literally stand up and interrupt that pattern and demand the credentials of the person who created that pattern in the first place. That's it. That's very powerful. Another way would just be to ask yourself some really empowering questions. For example, when did I decide that I can't go for that promotion? When did I decide that? What evidence do I have to justify that belief? And how do I represent that belief in my mind? In other words, when I have that limiting belief in my mind, what
Mhm.
did it look like? Remember, we talked about our minds think in pictures. So when you have a limiting belief, What does that limiting belief look like? I want you to really analyze the picture that you get in your mind when you have that limiting belief. What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? And then you can manipulate that picture in your mind. For example, if you find that your limiting belief is a photograph of you failing, you can take that picture and shrink it down to the size of a postage stamp
Yeah.
and then turn it into a cartoon and put big floppy shoes on the characters that are in it
Yeah.
and put a big red nose on all the characters that are in that picture of failure. And then I want you to have Daffy Duck say, I can never go for that. I can't do Daffy Duck.
You
I
worked at it.
can
That's
never
good.
go for that promotion. Now, by the time you have now made all of these changes to that picture, you just might find that you took some of the charge out of that feeling for you. And so that the next time you then have that same limiting belief of I can't go for that promotion or I'll never get that raise, create that picture in your mind, shrink it down, put
Mhm.
those floppy shoes and that big red nose on it, and then hear Daffy Duck say that again. And then ask yourself, is it really true? Is it really true that I can't ask for that promotion? Because it sounds pretty ridiculous to me right now. And you just might find that you loosen it, you loosen it, you loosen it until that feeling goes away.
It's interesting, Sean, because one important fact about the mind, subconscious mind in particular, it is unable to distinguish between that which is real and that which is imagined. Does not know the difference. When I'm working with my clients, I make sure I have them underline that. The subconscious mind does not know the difference between reality and imagination. And so, what we're looking to share with you is to take advantage of that. So, what
Mhm.
Sean is describing in terms of changing the way you look at a particular picture, what it looks like, what it sounds like, believe me when I tell you, it is a very powerful process if you're in fact looking to make changes about how you feel about something, because that's what the subconscious mind understands. It understands what you look like and it understands what you feel. And that in and of itself is the reason that we do the things we do the way we do them. It's um it's a situation where I tell my clients, you're a product of your belief system. For me, I struggled coming up with parents who instated certain beliefs in me that I was very intelligent, but when no one else was around, I also heard, you ain't nothing. And that came from my mother, just so you know. And you never gonna be anything. Y'all, I would leave y'all. And that abandonment made me believe that I was unlovable. Now, I'm older than 6 and 7 years old, but I can tell you what that feels like. And I know that that is something that I need to deal with in order to stop holding myself back from what I can do. I've reached a level of success that I'm very proud of, but I know within me I could do better, much better. And I'm working at it. And what I want to do is share the information with you so that you don't have to do that.
Absolutely. Richard Bandler tells us that it's not what's real that limits people. It's what they believe is real that limits people. And that is the message that we want to leave with you tonight. That whatever is holding you back is not real for everybody in the world. It's only real for you in here, and you can make that change. There are a number of ways that you can make that change. So do us a favor. And if any of this conversation has resonated with you tonight, then like the video and subscribe to our channel and drop a comment in the box below, letting us know and letting everybody else know what's holding you back. Because the conversation that you have going on in your head and in your heart is the same conversation somebody else has going on in their head and in their heart. So when you drop a comment below and you talk about it, it gives other people permission to visit that dark space inside.
Ooh. You know,
Vernon.
it's interesting, Sean. If we appear to be confident about what we're talking about, it's because we know that this works. This is science, hard science. If you gave me two parts of hydrogen, one part of oxygen, what are the chances I will come up with water? Very good. Would you bet against me? I don't think so, because it's a scientific fact that two parts of hydrogen, one part of oxygen, that's where you have water. What we're sharing with you are experiences in terms of how you learn to actually access your subconscious mind and make changes. Stick with us. Like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment.
And then come back next week and see us again on
Uh,
Mind Mastery Accelerator. We'll see you next time. Bye
bye.
bye.